Hey everyone, this is LEGO's new, fancier version of the Guardians ship for 2021. With this set, you get an expanded and more detailed version of the latest Guardians ship, stand for that to go on, and then these figures, which we'll look at up close. This is probably more the way you've seen it angled in pictures up to now, so I'm just going to leave it like that as I go around, but I'll show you how the stand does a good job of giving you many options for how to display this very nice looking model. And also with it angled like this, you can see the undersides, you can see a lot of details that aren't visible from a normal kind of landed position where you're usually looking from above. And I think that's really important because I think that's one of the things that really sets this apart from the previous version of the Orange Guardians ship, the previous Benatar, that I thought was itself very nice, especially for the price. You know, it was a much cheaper LEGO set and actually used the same overall scale, the same canopy piece and everything, just shrunk everything down and used far less details, especially on the outside, fewer on the inside as well. You know, this does more of everything, and as well it should when you're paying more. But I think that you get a good amount of detail for the number of pieces that go into this. I feel like the pieces are distributed well and used well, and there's not a lot of waste involved in this. You know, it really adds to the seriousness of the appearance of this on display, and yet it does remain very swishable, and it does still have some play value in terms of interacting with the minifigures. I'll show you how the minifigures go inside, although that is one of my bigger points of disappointment with this, is that it doesn't have a lot of interior space. The stand is done a little bit differently from the normal UCS style ones. It's a little bit smoother, I'd say, and this is something different in how it is leaned back, and then it also has a turntable on the top. Now the ship is really attached to this. It's not just sitting there. They've attached it well, so you never have to worry about this falling out, even if you start to mess with the angle of the whole thing. And the angle is an important part of this and how it gets to be displayed, because the entire turntable itself is angled back, and that allows you to display this in different ways depending upon how you want it to be angled to you or away from you. So holding the ship in one place and just changing the orientation of the stand, you can see what kind of options that you get here. So if you want to really appreciate the majesty of the wingspan of this, that very bird-like look of it, either gull or kestrel or kite, you know, raptor bird sort of appearance, or seabird appearance of the wings. You can really get that to be visible from a higher level than normal. So, you know, just having those options I think is really nice. And this stand does have some flex in it, but it's not going to break. There's definitely enough strength in that to hold this relatively heavy craft with all the cladding on it for the exterior details and the smoothing and everything securely enough. So this works out well. The cladding, as I called it, is, at least in my opinion, a smart distribution of plates versus tiles, and tiles of different shapes, well, plates of different shapes as well, wedge plates all throughout, with a little bit of reliance on stickers. There are some stickers used on the exterior, but most of the color blocking is done legitimately with, you know, physical plastic pieces that have the color built in, which is exactly what I personally like to see in LEGO. Not too much reliance on stickers or even prints for small details. And it's not completely symmetrical. It's not trying to look completely clean. Like, for example, you can see some of these smaller details that aren't just regular orange. You got the dark orange and the dark tan. Those are not the same, not exactly the same on the other side. That's nice. Just all this shaping in here is very pleasing to the eye. It was also satisfying to put together, how the wing edges here are rounded off. You do use one sticker right there. Again, I'm not too mad at that. Different sizes, again, and shapes of tiles, even on the undersides, not the undersides of plates, but on these lower wing extensions that can be folded up. So we have a number of things that can be moved. Also down inside, these smaller ones can be opened and closed up. Basically, the more you open it up, the more glorious and majestic it looks. The more you close these up, the more fast and sleek it looks. So these can be brought together. These lower ones can be actually tucked up underneath there quite far. Again, quite satisfactorily. Watch this pair of actuators, kind of look like hydraulic rams or something. Those move together as the V-tails open and close. Unfortunately, there's not quite enough, at least in my opinion, not quite enough friction in this joint right here to open and close there, because these do open up if you're just swooshing it around a little bit too easily. More detailing on the inside. No escape pod option with this one, not built in, not something that you can add on either without doing quite a bit of customization, but I'm okay with that personally. And just see how the level of detail does continue all the way around from all angles. That's what I like most about this. So let me get this closed up like so. I think that's about it. Oh yeah, these flaps here can also be opened or shut. And there's the net effect of closing everything up as much as you can. You know, it just looks like it has a lot less going on with it. It's nice to have those options. And then to get to the interior, you can lift off this part. You can lift off this part in its entirety. Around the sides and front, we have some pretty nice shaping, and how all this comes together is pretty satisfactory, especially when you consider that you've got this, right, just the regular canopy that can open on its built-in hinge, but then you also have all of this. So this is all built up, and you see it seals up just perfectly, the angle there from the side, basically from 90 degrees studs on side construction to off angle studs on side construction with another 90-degree turn in your direction of building here. All that fits together and seals up pretty well. And then that gives you access to the front cockpit, which has 2 spots for figures. Here I've got our Rocket Raccoon just standing because he does not have bendable legs, but you could put a seated normal figure there and then your pilot behind. Then in the core interior space, there's seating for 2, standing room for maybe a couple more, and really nice details along the walls. And those really showed up well in the official promo photos and renders from Lego. However, in the real thing, you're not able to see all that stuff very much. You're able to appreciate it when you do the build, but there's a lot of greebling in there. I mean, there are actually 2 tables in there. You've got the coffee machine over on the side, 1 single sticker for a view screen up there, and the back especially has really nice texturing, completely unnecessarily good texturing, to be honest. I mean, especially given that you're not able to access it all that well. But yeah, you're not able to appreciate that stuff, which is unfortunate. It looked so much more accessible from the renders and photos because they were able to take shots, or they decided to take shots with a lot of the ship removed. But, you know, once it's all complete, it's just not, it's not usable. It's not very enjoyable. Before moving on to show the minifigs up close, I wanted to demonstrate this in swoosh mode. So you can basically grab it from anywhere along the main fuselage, and all of that is fairly secure. I'm not worried about any of it falling off. You got a couple of these little movable bits here that can feel funny in your fingers, like if you accidentally grab one of those, like, oh no, is it gonna fall off? It's not, it's just moving because it can. But the rest of it is well built, you know, it's stout. On the underside, you know, details are pretty decent. The reason for these 2 colored pieces that you would rather not see are to help with alignment with the stand when it's time to put this back on. Because as I mentioned, the stand does get attached securely, and they just have a red piece here so that you know how to align it, so that when it's time to put it onto the stand, red goes to red, and then these axles here that stick out go deep down into the Technic bricks. All right, figures. Star-Lord, for his Infinity War version here, gets the Superman curl treatment, but with medium nougat for the color, and also a new color for the blasters there that look like Halo plasma pistols to me always. This time we've got just the silver color, not the brightest silver color, but the darker molded silver color. I think that Star-Lord overall looks pretty good. We got the out of shape version of Thor here, and I think that the hairpiece just works out really, really well for him. He also has Stormbreaker. I don't think they really needed to do anything for the body to make it look bigger here, because the hair just does it all. I didn't even notice the major change for Rocket Raccoon until somebody pointed it out during the live build. Previously, his fur color was gray from Lego. They switched him over to brown. I think that the gray actually looked a little bit better in Lego form, but they couldn't put gray on gray because the outfit had to be gray there, so they needed to have that contrast. I think that works out pretty well, although the face for Rocket Raccoon is not ideal here. I feel like his face looked better against gray in Lego form. These all have pretty good printing on the backs of the torsos, and the humanoid ones have alternate faces. Mantis, I think, once again, looks good. I especially appreciate the little copper applications that they did for the buckles down near the waist. It's too bad that she doesn't get any waist or leg printing, though. And the hairpiece is all one thing with paint applied here, the flesh tone, which is good. It's opaque and it's appropriate. Groot, well, this is Teen Groot, so he went over from brown to dark tan this time, and I think the prints for his torso, hip, and leg pieces are fantastic. I just stared at them for a while when I first put this together. However, the face, I personally don't like. It just looks a little bit too Lego-ish, too toy-ish, too childish. I don't know. It's appropriate, I think, but I just personally think that the rest of this looks so serious, so gnarly in there that they could have dialed back the playfulness of the eyes, maybe made it just a little bit, made them a little bit smaller, a little bit less happy in expression. Over on the right, the Chitari Warrior looks great to me. That print for the head, that print for the torso, all that is good. The built-up weapon, again, no print below the torso is unfortunate because the rest is done so well. And over here you do get one alternate face for Mantis, which is appropriate and necessary. Here are the leftover parts. There are a fair number of them, and a bunch of them are pretty nice. I separated out the prints over here as well as that part, which is new for 2021, second set that I've seen it in personally, and it's absolutely fantastic. And I hope that LEGO will continue to make more and more and more very, very small, useful pieces like that. You also notice the 3 long bar in just a regular blue color, and then the sticker sheet I thought was not bad for a set of this size. Again, most of this stuff just goes on the exterior. You had a couple of long panel, handful of panel pieces on the inside, but most of it is on the outside and just didn't seem excessive to me. Now this set costs $150 US, which is more than twice as much as the previous version of this ship. So when people look at this one compared to the previous one and say that this one is much better, well, it had better be, given that it costs more than twice as much. Doesn't give you all that much more play value though, and the previous version also came with a big fig. This is way more glorious, way better to see on display. There were more advanced building techniques to an extent, to a fair extent, and just it's very satisfying. It's very satisfying to put together. It's very satisfying to look at after the fact. It's unfortunate that they put in a Chitari Warrior instead of another one of the Guardians. It's unfortunate that it's so difficult to access the interior. Not only to look at it, I don't think I mentioned, it's difficult for larger hands to fit in there. Hands that are not child size, and this is not intended to be a small child's toy. The previous version, which was much better as that, but it's difficult even within the space that is available for minifigures to place the minifigures there. And then when you pull them up, they tend to hold on to the seats that they were connected to and stuff. So definitely loses some points for that. But overall, I think that the value here is pretty respectable. I do wish that it cost less as usual. I don't know how it could have within reason with how many pieces are included here. I think that the end result, if you're not familiar with Lego too much, the end result may look disappointingly small to you for that amount of money compared to something else that you could get for $150, like something from the Star Wars line. You get a capital ship. Now, it's not going to be particularly scaled appropriately to this or anything, but you get a lot more sense of bulk because all this wingspan out here, these are just some plates. There's not real substance here. It adds to the appearance of everything, of course, but there's not mass there. Most of the mass is right here, just in the center, and also with the V-tail section. So it's mostly just right here. Is that $150 worth of stuff with those figures and the stand? Doesn't quite feel like it to me. Except when I think back to the build process and I realize how many pieces went into this and how good it looks from all different angles. So different strokes for different folks. I think that for some folks, this is going to feel like a good value. For others, it's really not. It's really not. So definitely consider who this is for. If it's for you, that you're shopping around, consider how you're going to use it. If you're just going to have it on display, if that feels like a good value to you, then it is. If it feels off, I'm with you there as well. Take a good look at the details, look at the photos. Yeah. Overall, I'm happy with it myself, but Lego is expensive. It really is. Let me know what you think. Your final thoughts in the comments down below would be much appreciated, including opinions that differ from my own. Appreciate your time, and I'll talk to you again soon.